Man, I have to admit something. The more I think about everything happening with the Los Angeles Rams lately, the more I feel like we might be witnessing the start of what could become one of the biggest stories of the season. Yesterday, I got some info about Aaron Donald that really got me thinking. Actually, there are two situations I want to discuss with you in this video. I'll get right to the point without dragging things out. But before I go on, I want to ask you something. Do you think Aaron Donald will return to the Rams during the regular season? Would you like to see that happen? Leave your opinion below. It's really important to us. And of course, smash that like button if you believe the Rams can make it to the Super Bowl this season. Man, I totally believe it's possible. Even though it's been 2 years since Aaron Donald left the NFL, it's amazing to think he could still deliver big results on the field. From what we hear, Donald keeps training daily and staying in exceptional shape. I admit I still believe he'll come back to the Rams and help the team win another Super Bowl. Here's an interesting tidbit I learned yesterday. Recently, Aaron Donald spent time training with Steelers safety Jaquan Brisker, showing him various pass rush techniques on the practice field. For younger defensive players, having the chance to learn directly from someone like Donald is priceless. One detail immediately caught the attention of Rams fans. Donald was wearing a Los Angeles Rams jersey during the workout. Of course, that doesn't confirm anything on its own. Both Donald and Brisker are from Pittsburgh, which explains how they know each other, even though they went to different colleges. Still, for Rams fans who've been following all the rumors about Donald's future, seeing him in team gear naturally raised hopes. Would you actually want to see Aaron Donald return? It's a difficult question because nobody doubts his ability or his legacy. The bigger question is whether both sides would feel the timing is right. Until anything official happens, it remains nothing more than a possibility worth watching closely. Now let's shift gears, because there is another story that deserves much more attention than it has received. Everyone has been talking about the Rams rookie class lately, but one player continues flying under the radar despite having one of the most fascinating journeys to the NFL. That player is offensive lineman Keegan Trost. The Rams selected Trost in the 3rd round, but if you only know that one fact, you're missing the most interesting part of his story. Unlike many NFL prospects who were highly recruited coming out of high school, Trost entered college football with almost no attention at all. He wasn't considered a major recruit and received very limited opportunities. He began his college career at Morgan State before transferring to Indiana State after becoming homesick. Because of the COVID-shortened season, his development took longer than many other prospects. Once he finally got onto the field, however, he steadily improved. He worked his way into a starting role, continued developing, later transferred to Wake Forest, and eventually finished his college career at Missouri, where everything finally came together. That winding path may actually be one of the biggest reasons the Rams liked him so much. Throughout his college career, Trost didn't stay at just one position. He played multiple spots along the offensive line, including both tackle positions, while also gaining experience at guard. That kind of versatility is extremely valuable in today's NFL. Instead of seeing a player limited to one role, the Rams see someone capable of helping almost anywhere injuries might occur. His final season at Missouri was especially impressive. Facing SEC competition every single week, Trost earned outstanding production. He posted the highest overall PFF grade among college tackles, received an overall grade above 90, earned strong grades in both pass protection and run blocking, allowed only 1 sack throughout the season, and committed just 4 penalties. Those numbers explain why the Rams believed he was worth selecting in the 3rd round. That doesn't necessarily mean he'll immediately become a starter. In fact, the expectation appears to be exactly the opposite. The Rams already have an experienced offensive line entering this season. A.J. Jackson is expected to handle left tackle, Steve Avila projects at left guard, Coleman Shelton is expected at center, Kevin Dotson remains at right guard, and Warren McClendon enters the season at right tackle. Because of that, Trost's biggest contribution during year 1 may come as one of the most valuable backup linemen on the roster. And that role shouldn't be underestimated. Last season, injuries constantly affected the Rams' offensive line. The team rarely enjoyed having every starter available at the same time. Players missed games throughout the year, forcing constant adjustments. Having someone capable of filling multiple positions suddenly becomes incredibly important. That's exactly what the coaching staff appears to value most about Trost. Instead of carrying multiple backups who each play only one position, having one versatile lineman capable of stepping in almost anywhere gives the Rams far more flexibility every game week. Looking even further ahead, Trost's future may become even more interesting. Several offensive linemen could eventually reach free agency, forcing difficult financial decisions for the organization. No NFL team can keep every talented player forever, especially as salaries continue rising across the league. That creates an opportunity. If Trost develops the way the Rams hope, he could eventually earn a starting role by replacing one of those departing veterans over the next few seasons. Whether that future comes at left guard, or right tackle remains to be seen. What seems clear is that the Rams drafted him because they believe his versatility gives him multiple pathways to becoming an important piece of this football team. We've already seen this front office uncover talented offensive linemen outside the first round before. If Keegan Trost becomes another one of those success stories, this selection could end up looking much better a few years from now than it does today. And that's why these two stories actually connect. One reminds us of everything this franchise has accomplished through legendary players like Aaron Donald. The other reminds us that every great era eventually depends on the next generation stepping forward. Whether Donald ever returns remains uncertain. Whether Trost develops into a future starter is something only time will answer. But both stories give Rams fans plenty to watch as another exciting season gets closer. Now I want to hear from you. Do you believe Aaron Donald will ever play another game for the Rams? And how excited are you to watch Keegan Trost begin his NFL career? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, because I'd love to hear what Rams fans everywhere think about both of these stories. As always, go Rams! As we continue looking at Keegan Trost's future, one thing becomes more obvious the deeper you study his journey. This isn't a player who arrived in the NFL because everything went perfectly. In fact, almost nothing about his path was easy. Every step of the way he had to prove himself again. He had to earn opportunities that many other prospects simply received because of recruiting rankings or the schools they attended. That experience alone could become one of his biggest strengths now that he's wearing a Rams uniform. When you look at where he started and compare it to where he finished, it's hard not to appreciate the amount of work that went into becoming an NFL draft pick. Going from a player who received very little recruiting attention to eventually becoming one of the highest-rated offensive tackles in college football says a lot about his determination. The Rams clearly noticed that progression. What makes Trost particularly interesting isn't just the numbers he produced at Missouri. It's the fact that he continued improving every single time the competition became more difficult. Every transfer brought a higher level of football. Every new opportunity forced him to adjust. Instead of slowing down, he continued taking steps forward. That kind of growth is exactly what NFL teams hope to see. One of the biggest challenges for rookie offensive linemen is adapting to the speed of the professional game. Defensive linemen are stronger, faster, and much more technically refined than anything they faced in college. Because of that, many offensive linemen need time before they're ready to become full-time starters. The Rams appear to understand that. Rather than rushing Trost into the lineup, they can allow him to develop behind an experienced group of veterans. That gives him valuable time to learn the offense, improve his technique, and become comfortable with the pace of the NFL without immediately carrying the pressure of protecting the starting quarterback every Sunday. Sometimes that's the best situation a young offensive lineman can ask for. He'll be able to learn from experienced teammates while working with one of the league's most respected coaching staffs. If injuries happen, and history shows they almost always do, along the offensive line, the Rams already have someone they believe can step into multiple roles. That flexibility cannot be overstated. Imagine preparing for a game knowing your backup can play left tackle, right tackle, guard, and even potentially help at center if absolutely necessary. That gives coaches significantly more freedom when putting together the game day roster. Instead of needing multiple specialists, one versatile player can cover several positions. That's exactly why versatility has become one of the most valuable traits offensive linemen can possess in today's NFL. The coaching staff has already spoken about how important that flexibility can be, especially when only a limited number of offensive linemen dress on game day. A player capable of filling several positions instantly becomes more valuable because he allows the team to build depth across the entire roster. For Trost, that could become his ticket onto the field much sooner than many fans expect. Even if he doesn't begin the season as a starter, every practice, every preseason snap, and every opportunity to demonstrate that versatility could increase his role as the season progresses. And looking beyond this year, the picture becomes even more interesting. Several members of the Rams' offensive line will eventually require new contracts. That's simply part of building a competitive NFL roster. Tough financial decisions are unavoidable, even for successful teams. General managers constantly face difficult choices between keeping veteran players and preparing younger replacements. The Rams have successfully managed situations like this before. They've found productive offensive linemen outside the first round, developed them patiently, and watched them become reliable starters. If Keegan Trost follows that same path, this third-round selection could become one of the smartest investments the organization made. Of course, none of that is guaranteed. Every rookie enters the NFL with potential, but potential alone doesn't win starting jobs. Trost will still have to earn every opportunity through practice, preparation, and consistent improvement. Fortunately for him, that's exactly what his entire football journey has been about. Nothing was handed to him. Every stop along the way required him to prove people wrong. Every transfer became another chance to continue growing. Every season brought another challenge. Now the biggest challenge of his career begins in Los Angeles. Meanwhile, Rams fans will continue watching another storyline unfold. Aaron Donald remains one of the greatest players in franchise history, and until he officially says otherwise, fans will probably continue wondering if one more chapter is still possible. Seeing him training, staying in shape, and continuing to share his knowledge with younger players naturally keeps those conversations alive. At the same time, the future of this organization won't be built only on legendary names from the past. It will also depend on young players like Keegan Trost developing into dependable contributors over the next several seasons. That's what makes this such an interesting moment for the Rams. The franchise continues honoring one of its greatest legends while simultaneously investing in players who could shape the next generation of success. Whether Aaron Donald ever returns remains uncertain. Whether Keegan Trost becomes a long-term starter will only be answered over the coming years. But both stories remind us of something every Rams fan already knows. Championship teams aren't built overnight. They are built by legendary veterans setting the standard, talented young players preparing for their opportunity, and organizations making smart decisions before everyone else recognizes their value. Now, it's your turn. Which storyline are you watching more closely? Are you still hoping to see Aaron Donald back in a Rams uniform one more time? Or are you more excited to watch Keegan Trost begin writing his own story in Los Angeles? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed today's discussion, Don't forget to support the channel, because there are plenty more Rams updates coming very soon. Until next time, take care, and go Rams!